Hello and welcome back. I hope you had yourself a nice, relaxing lunch break. Maybe you got out for a walk. Maybe you spent some time playing with the kids. I actually did go looking for people in the networking cafe. I was expecting to see a whole bunch of video feeds with people eating their lunch, but it turns out that I actually found instead the Autodesk Wheel of Fortune. Now that's a real thing. If you go into the networking cafe at one of the tables, Autodesk has a Wheel of Fortune. You get to spin the wheel and you win prizes and everything. It's like way more fun than you could possibly imagine. All right, let's get into our next speaker, our after lunch entertainment. The third person today who actually requires no introduction whatsoever. And for someone who's a host who's getting paid to introduce people, I almost feel guilty. But please welcome the incredibly funny Arj Barker to the screen.
Thank you very much, Simon. And hello, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at the AMCA National Conference 2020. I mean, this year just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? Oh, he uses sarcasm, but it's true. I do a little, but it is really wonderful pleasure to be here. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference. My name is Arj Barker. I'm living in Australia currently. I know a lot of you are in Australia, but I know a lot of you are not in Australia. And so I want to start by saying, the guys that aren't in Australia, come on out and visit us because it's a great country. I'm originally from California, but right now I'm going to tell you how much I love this country. What do you want? What do you want? You want nightlife? Then you go to Sydney. That's the place. I mean, last time I was in Sydney, just before COVID struck, we had a huge night in Sydney. We went out, we shut the bars down. I mean, we were out till like 9:30 p.m. It was massive, insane. Obviously, Melbourne, that's where I am currently. Now, it's a little quiet at the moment. Admittedly, there's, I guess there's something going around, but Melbourne's a fantastic city. And I've probably been here, 100 times for work over the years. And every time I come, the people would say, Aji Baji, mate, you pronounced Melbourne correctly. You pronounced Melbourne correctly. I'm like, yeah, I did. And maybe you guys ought to get over yourselves a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not like it's my first trip to Victoria. This is a fun country. Now, I know most people enjoy sport. So some of the gang that's overseas, you want sport, Australia's got it. They got what do they got? They got rugby. They got AFL. They got the massive cricket. I know cricket's not huge everywhere, but it's beautiful. You go to Adelaide, brand new cricket stadium. It's so fantastic. And I'm not choosing favorites here because I had a good time everywhere I went. That cricket stadium, though, is beautiful. In Adelaide, you can do a walking roof tour where you can walk on the roof of the cricket stadium. And the people that organize it, they invited me for a complimentary roof walking tour of the Adelaide cricket grounds. Isn't that nice? They reached out to my promoter. It was very generous of them. I didn't accept, but I can't. It's not their fault because they don't know that I happen to have a fairly substantial fear of boredom. So unfortunately, I was able to go do that. But, I love being out here. Now, if you fly out to Australia, it's a long flight. It's from California, it was like 12 hours. What do? I read magazines, flipping through magazines. Just cover to cover, I read them. And I'll never forget the last time I read this one article. It's like 20 pages long. It's like a feature article. It says, hey, can you believe how incredible science is? Now you can get tested for early onset Alzheimer's. And, I read this article page after page, 50,000 words or whatever. And the whole time, all I was thinking was, why the fuck would I want to know that? That's the worst thing ever. My grandmother had it. It's in my family. It might well be my fate. But if it is, I want to literally be the last person to find out about it. I want to be happy right up to the last minute looking around like, why does everyone look so serious around here? And why am I the only one wearing pajamas? Because life is now. Life is here in this moment. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. That's why people love sport. Sport's in the moment. In fact, I mentioned AFL. Now, a lot of you guys know what AFL is, but it's basically like, it's a huge sport here. It's like NFL, equivalent to this, how popular NFL is back in the States, for instance. And the biggest event is the AFL Grand Finale. That's the biggest one. That's at the big stadium here in Melbourne. And I went to it. Like it was a few years ago. It was the Geelong Cats versus the St. Kilda Saints. The Saints, I think maybe it was maybe 8 or 9 years ago. I don't know. But I was there. And I left after like 10 minutes. I just walked out. My friend said, "Where you going, Arj?" I said, "I'm leaving. It's so boring. I already know Geelong's going to win." He said, "How could you possibly know that, Arj?" I said, "Because sports are about teamwork, aren't they? It's all about teamwork." And so, of course, they're going to win because they're the Cats. The Cats. I said, what animal personifies the quintessential essence of teamwork more than a cat? I know I'll never forget growing up in the summertime, trying to go to sleep with the windows open and hearing the cats in the neighborhood working together on various projects. Huh. Sounds like tonight they've constructed some sort of giant screaming apparatus. Clever bastards. This is a wonderful country to be in. You know I'm sure you are as wonderful too. And by the way, I wanted to mention this. Jokes aside, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope your families are doing well and you're safe. And I'm talking about when things clear up, I want to travel. I want to go back to my homeland. I want people to visit us. Don't miss Byron Bay. That's a beautiful part of this country, one of my favorites. Very free-spirited. You know, the people there, they really love nature. I love nature too, but I'm very careful. They said, "Arj, let's go for a hike." I said, "No, I'm not going hiking up there because I already know it lives out there." And every year, my buddies, they try the same thing. They say, "Arj, mate, the snakes are just as afraid of you as you are of them." I'm like, "Really? Are you telling me the snakes are sitting up all night fucking Googling me? Like, is Arj Barker deadly? How do I tell the good Arj Barkers from the bad Arj Barkers? Why do I have arms?" All great questions, I'm sure. Byron's one of those places where people really like the alternative style lifestyle. I'll never forget, I was so stressed at the time, and my friend Shanti, who lives up there, she said, "Arj, just try yoga." Okay? Now, first of all, I don't assume everyone watching today knows what yoga is. So for the people that aren't familiar with it, I'll just fill you in. Yoga is a very spiritual practice which began in Los Angeles over 7 years ago. And now it's so popular, they're doing it everywhere. I hear they're even doing it in India. I mean, it's super blowing up. And there's an old saying in yoga, "Oh, fuck my back," which probably translates to saying, "Hey, I probably need assistance leaving this space." Now, I'd never done it. And my friends said, "Arj, you're stressed." I said, "How do you know that?" "Because you're biting your fingernails." And it's true, friends. I had this habit my whole life. I get nervous. I'm not thinking about it. I start biting my fingernails like a dang typewriter. And it's, honestly, it's a little disgusting. It can be harmful. It didn't make me feel good. She said, "Arj, just forget it. Just do yoga." Now, I'm here to tell you, friends, I did yoga for 1 week. Maybe I did 3 or 4 days that week. And since that very first week, I've literally never bit my fingernails once. Isn't that incredible? I bite my toenails now. And I couldn't reach them before. And, they're bigger and they last longer. It's a different taste. But listen, health is number one, isn't it? Is there anything more important than health? I don't think so. That's why I hope you guys are all staying healthy and your families are healthy. I have a good doctor. I'm thankful. He's like classic, what do they call Western style medicine doctor. And I also have an alternative healer who understands, the Eastern philosophy of medicine and all the new age cures and supplements. He knows all about supplements. In fact, right now, this is true, he has me taking, I just adjusted my camera because I really want to get the best angle for you guys. It's not easy. He has me taking turmeric and magnesium 3 times a day because he doesn't think that I'm getting enough diarrhea. So I got to be honest, I think it's really helping. It really seems to be doing the trick. It's number one, you got to stay healthy. That's why people say exercise. That's one of the keys to good health. But here's the problem. Exercise, I mean, I'm not saying it's not great, it's wonderful, but it's difficult. It's difficult to exercise. And the harder you exercise, the harder it gets. Isn't that true? But then when you stop, you feel pretty good. You feel endorphins, you feel a sense of accomplishment, you feel great. Now set that aside for a moment. Drinking is easy, isn't it? And the harder you drink, the easier it gets, right? That's true too. But then when you stop, you feel atrocious, don't you? You feel terrible. So I've just illustrated how these two activities have nearly opposite end results. And so I realized this, I had this epiphany while I was sitting here during lockdown. All we need to do is combine these two activities and we can effectively rule out the negative attributes of each one. And that's why I'm so excited. As soon as, the economy opens back up, and as soon as we're able to get back out there, I'm going to open up the world's very first cross-pist gym. And I'm excited about that. And our slogan is rock abs and rock bottom, because that's what, people love exercise fads. And I'm just, I'm an innovator too, right? It's all about innovation. AMCA is all about innovation. And this conference is about that. And that's why, they didn't tell me this, but I think maybe that's part of the reason they asked me to do this, because I love that kind of stuff. And by the way, I've always loved AMCA. Even when I was a kid, that Village People song, AMCA, couldn't get enough of that. Love how you guys help young runaways. It's just incredible work you're doing out there. I am married currently, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be honest. My marriage is struggling a little bit because I believe in being honest, and I feel like I don't want to insult you and pretend everything's perfect. But we're going to counseling, so that's cool, and I'm loving it. I'm loving marriage counseling. Why wouldn't I? Scheduled arguing? Only $180 a week? Sign me up. And we go, and I refuse to have a negative attitude about it. Because, people say, counseling, it's a bummer. No, you know what? It's a privilege that I could sit there in a room with my wife and we can have pure, honest communication with each other, and to have a third person there who pretends to be neutral. That's incredible, because no human being is truly neutral, but a good counselor, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. And you better be pretty good at reading the counselor. Otherwise, you'll never know who won the session. Because they're not going to come out and give you like a high five, like, man, you killed it in there, Arch. I thought she had you with the taking out the trash, but then you came over the top with the lack of affection. You got to really pick up the subtle cues to know who's winning that one. Listen, my wife is wonderful. I would never come out here and say anything negative about her. Regardless of what happens, we work it out, we don't work it out. She's an amazing person. I know I'm lucky to have her in my life. I've had relationships that are a lot worse. The one before that girl, she's a nice person, but she gets so angry and she'd make me sleep on the couch. Now this, I think, is kind of an old school tactic. I don't know if any of you ever experienced that, but she gets so mad, like, I don't like the tone of your voice, Arch. I think you better go sleep on the couch, bud. And this happened constantly. I mean, it happened all the time. And I remember one of the last arguments we had, we had this argument, and if you're sitting out there, just for a laugh, just guess where I ended up after the argument. Anybody? I'm trying to listen. I can't hear it, but I think you said on the couch. Correct. I ended up on the couch, and I'm trying to go to sleep, but when you're angry and when you're upset, you're trying to go to sleep, and you're lying there, and your mind's racing, and I'm just laying there on the couch. The blanket doesn't even cover all my legs. My feet are sticking out, and I'm just thinking, this is such bullshit. It's 3 p.m. I'm not even tired. And furthermore, I thought to myself, we don't even live together. She had sent me the command over Skype on that occasion. This is pre-Zoom. And I got so mad, and I realized I made up my mind right then and there, friends. I said, this is over. This is finished. I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore. So when I woke up at 8 p.m. that night, I packed my bags and got the hell out of there. And now nobody lives there. It's called sending a concise and clear message to your landlord. And that's what I did. You guys are innovators. Wherever you are, you have this problem. Because I love where I grew up. I love Australia, but it doesn't matter. I love Europe. I saw some of you guys down in Europe. I can't wait to get back down over there. New Zealand, forget about it. Love New Zealand. I love traveling, but it doesn't matter where you go because everywhere I go, I have the same problem. I want to go from point A to point B, and you get in your car, and pretty soon you're not going nowhere. You're just sitting in the middle of the road. And I would say it doesn't get any worse, but it does, because then they put a big orange sign and they lie right to your face. They put a big orange sign that says something like road work. And I'm sitting in my car thinking, well, clearly road not work. Yeah? And since we're on the subject, man not work either. Yeah? Man do fuck all. Man smoke cigarette, lean on shovel, stare at hole. So in conclusion, road shit, man shit, shit hole. And I like that joke. I hope you guys are having a good chuckle out there, because it's hard to tell, honestly, with this setup, but that is a universal issue. And I know through the innovations that we're going to discuss at this conference, I'm not really invited to be part of that discussion. I feel like I should be, though, because I'm very innovative myself. One of the things I love about Australia is it's an innovative country. Now, a lot of you guys are here, you know that. I mean, look, come on. I'm sure there's innovations wherever you are, but this is the only country, for instance, that I've seen the half flush on the toilet. When I grew up in California, even to this day, I go back to California. That's where I'm from, Northern California. They don't got a half flush. You can either flush or not flush. Those are your choices. Yeah, I'm yelling right now. And what kind of choice is that? You come down to Australia, you can flush or half flush. And let's be honest, that's just so nice for all those times when you're like, well, I don't know. Sort of seems like a shame to get rid of all of it. Maybe just a little off the side. Listen, we're having a little fun here. You guys know I love innovation. I hope that you're enjoying the conference today. You know why? Because this is a chance for everyone to come together. And what I really hope is that you take the engagements you have with other people at this thing, and you maybe make some new connections, and you learn something new, and you share something, and that's what it's all about. And for me, it's all about. And they said, Arch, if you want to just talk a little something inspirational, I said, that's not really what I do. I'm a comedian. And I said, what can I say? And I'll say, the one thing I'll say is, I'm about to wrap up. I'm losing my voice because I'm performing like heck into my webcam here. Live in the moment, friends. That's where the best ideas come from. That's where the most inspiring stuff, that's where the real joy of life is. Not in the past, not in the future. You know what I mean? It's like on the flight over to Australia last time from California. It's like a 12-hour flight. And I'll never forget that. I'm reading a magazine, flipping through the magazine, and they got like a 20-page article saying, hey, can you believe it? Now you can get tested for early onset Alzheimer's. And I'm reading that, and I'm thinking, why the fuck would I want to know that, right? I mean, all I know is I'm healthy today, and who knows what tomorrow brings? I don't know. You don't know. And I hope you guys are laughing at that out there, because honestly, that's one of the funnier jokes in the whole show. And I'll tell you, out of all my jokes, and I'm going to be honest, that joke is a lot funnier when you get it. Because if you don't, there's probably a few people sitting out there like, yeah, you already said that, Arj. It wasn't funny the first time. Well, I don't know if it's ever going to get funny for you, but I wouldn't worry about it. You guys are awesome. Thanks for having me. And AMCA has always been generous. even before we were talking about doing a gig, I think it was last year, and there was a scheduling issue, and they said it didn't work out, but they said, oh, we're going to put you up at the casino. You know, we'll put you up at the hotel at the casino. Beautiful hotel. And I said, what? These guys, and I knew about this hotel. It was like, you know, it was brand new. It was a big deal. I said, these guys are going to, how generous is that? That they're going to look after me, just a lowly comedian, and put me up at a hotel at a casino. And guess what? It's not the responsibility of AMCA to know that I have a slight gambling issue. That's my problem. That's about self-knowledge and understanding. And so I don't have an issue because I'm smart. When I go to the casino, I only bring $100 to play poker with because I know I could afford to lose that. And I bring like $25 for food and $800 for bus fare, you know, in case I forget stuff and I have to go home 100 or 200 times. I hope that you've enjoyed this performance. It's a new frontier we're living in. Never in my life did I think I'd be sitting in my office doing shows, but that's how it is. And I really enjoyed performing for you. I'm going to pass it back to Simon. I think I'm invited to stick around for a minute. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Thanks, Aj. This may be the standing ovation that you've ever had.
Pause break. Woo! I'll take it.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. And I look, as someone who performs at events and stuff as well, I kind of appreciate it's been a pretty tumultuous last 6 months. How have you been handling it? What does lockdown look like for a comedian?
Well, I mean, you know, you do try to stay busy, and I'm so thankful that I was given opportunities to do shows like this for various companies and conferences. And I don't do too many, but I do them when I can. And honestly, I think other comedians I know feel this way. We're just really thankful if we have some work. You know, we're thankful to get any gig. And so, you know, you do what you can. I'm in a really fortunate position because of the success I've had. You know, I'm not panicking about paying the rent, but I know a lot of guys, you know, they're in different stages of their career. I think it's tougher on them. So I'm very thankful. And I think I'm more thankful than ever about how much luck I've had and how comfortable I am. So I'm just, again, I'm not complaining is my point, because I know people are really struggling out there. But anyway, and I'm glad for whatever gigs I can get. I didn't mean to make it too serious. I hope they're not like, oh, that's not funny.
Like, honestly,
I'm trying to answer questions.
100%. I think it's brilliant. I think that the honesty is really important, because I think, you know, there is an industry that has suffered dramatically. I think musicians, comedians, a lot of people who do rely on live crowds.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of musicians have spent the last kind of 6 months writing new material and releasing albums out of their bedrooms. What, have you been working on new material or a new show?
Well, you know what? To be honest, I sort of I haven't been spending a ton of time on stand-up, because as I'm unable to sort of get out there and do the shows regularly, it's not as much on the forefront of my mind. But I've actually been focusing really on my health and you know, doing a fair bit of exercise, learning to exercise at home, which is a new thing, because I've always been, I wouldn't say a gym junkie, but you know, because I'm pretty lazy. But I've always gone to the gym occasionally. But now, you know, I got a few little dumbbells, and I'm trying to learn to do that at home, and trying to practice music, trying to learn I've always wanted to play piano, and I always struggle and give up, and I'm trying yet again. And, you know, I look after my dogs, and I have various hobbies, you know, other things, photography a little bit, video editing, construction, building stuff in my garage, which obviously I know you guys are experts of construction. But I build like, you know, a shelf out of 2x4s. And if it's level, I'm excited that I did that. But I love, you know, I love learning stuff. And as I got older, I realized learning new things is really one of the great joys in life. And it's what keeps you inspired. Because if you keep doing something you already know, that's fine. But if you don't add to that and try to expand, then, you know, you're just, you know, it's not as exciting. That's what I think. So I love stand-up. Well,
100%.
what gets me thinking about stand up is doing stand up. And so, if I think of jokes, I'll write them down, but I'm not like gung ho thinking about stand up at the moment.
Yeah, and so one of the things I'm super interested in is around what are these kind of little secret joys that we have found through this last 6 months, the things that we perhaps weren't expecting that we were going to enjoy about being stuck at home for 6 months. Just kind of curious for you, has there been something that's kind of stands out or something that you've really surprised you about what you've experienced or enjoyed over the last bit of half a year or so?
Well, I'll give you a really honest answer that people wouldn't expect that I would say. But my wife and I were going through a separation that had just been initiated at sort of the end of the end of last year. And so we were just getting into that and talking about her moving out and divorce and all that stuff. And then the lockdown hit. And so because we still had pretty good relations, I wasn't going to try to force her to move out, or I wouldn't expect her to try to deal with that while all that was going on. And as a result, long story short, we've really rediscovered our friendship during being locked down together. We're basically roommates now. And I just feel like our friendship's stronger than ever. And whether or not we resume as a married couple or not, it's been a real surprise and beautiful thing that's happened there. Among some other things, that's kind of a blessing that came out of that for us.
That's a beautiful story, Aj. Thanks so much for sharing.
That's all right. I told you it was going to be kind of honest, and you're like, "Whoa, okay, is he serious?" Yeah, that's an honest answer. Yeah. Usually, when I make a joke, you'll kind of know when I'm kidding because it'll be like funny at the end. And if I'm not, then it's like, "Oh, he might be serious."
Yeah. I've got one more question for you. So we've got our next speaker coming up in a second.
Oh, great.
His name's Matt. And Matt, when Matt found out that he was going to be after you, he was like, "Oh, come on. You can't put me after Aj." And so I'm just wondering if you've got any tips for Matt, like the people who are going to have to follow your acts today. Any tips on how they approach it? Should he throw in some humor? Should he use one of your Alzheimer's joke and see if people remember it still? Any tips for Matt coming up next?
No, Matt, I think you got this, no problem. The only thing is you're a little shadowy on I'm looking at your little shadowy there. If you got another lamp to put on your right side, that might help a little, but otherwise you're fine. It's just because you got the window there, and I don't want to stress you out. I probably just got him more worried. But as long as his expertise is,
I can't see him. Is he racing around trying to adjust his lighting right now?
As long as he's not like a famous lighting engineer, I'm sure he'll be all right then.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
No, you got this, Matt.
It's been such a pleasure having you.
Matt, let me tell you something. This is a great audience. A little bit on the quiet side, but they're great otherwise. Don't worry about that. You're going to do great.
Hey, Aj, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. And maybe we'll get to do this in person sometime in the future.
Thank you very much to everybody. Have a great time out there. Good luck for the rest of the conference. And thanks again.
You just have to imagine that everybody out there somewhere across Australia and around the world is doing their own little standing ovation for you right now as well.
Oh, that's all right. You can, as long as you're comfortable and safe. Thank you.